Have you ever had one of those days where you're just completely, utterly drained?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the kind of day where your grand, ambitious plans to conquer the world.
Suddenly get downgraded to just surviving until bedtime.
Exactly. We've all been there. And usually in those low moments, someone will offer you a comforting platitude.
Right. A nice, warm, fuzzy quote to make you feel better about not accomplishing much.
Yeah, but today, our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's completely different.
Completely different.
We're taking one of the most famous, comforting quotes in history and looking at how the world's top 1% actually use it.
And spoiler alert, they do not use it for comfort.
No, they don't. They use it as a ruthless, sharp resource management strategy for sustainable wealth and success.
It completely flips the script on how we usually consume motivational wisdom. I mean, we're stepping away from looking at this as poetry today.
Right.
Instead, we're dissecting it as a strict operational manual.
And the source of material we're analyzing today centers around a quote by the legendary Martin Luther King Jr. You've almost certainly heard it before.
Everyone has.
It goes, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward.
It's powerful.
It is. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a beautiful sentiment for when you're exhausted. But we're pulling from this incredible analysis by a wisdom architect on the Quote Decoder channel.
Which is brilliant, by the way.
It really is. And their breakdown of this specific phrase is going to fundamentally change how you view your daily output.
The central argument here is that this quote isn't just a gentle pat on the back. It's effectively the secret Bible of sustainable success.
Yeah.
It forms the absolute core of what we call resilience.
Which people usually misunderstand.
Completely. People tend to think of resilience as just, grinning and bearing it or toughing it out through sheer willpower. But the analysis frames resilience as a highly calculated, almost mathematical strategy. It's the exact mindset that separates highly successful individuals from everyone else who burns out.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the first major revelation from the breakdown is a concept that basically flies in the face of everything modern hustle culture teaches us.
Yes, it really does.
The core tenet is that momentum is infinitely more important than speed.
Which is a massive paradigm shift. And to explain why, the wisdom architect makes this really brilliant comparison to weather systems.
Oh, I love this analogy.
It's so good. So when you're on the journey of building yourself up, whether you're creating a business, learning a complex skill, or trying to generate wealth, you are constantly subject to environmental conditions.
Right, the weather of life.
Exactly. There are days with absolute tailwinds. The conditions are perfect, your energy is fully charged, the market is responding, and you can just fly effortlessly.
You're achieving incredible speed.
You are. But inevitably, there are days where massive storms hit. The wind is in your face, every single thing goes wrong, your cognitive load is maxed out, and you feel like you can barely move an inch.
And the natural instinct on those storm days is to feel like you're failing, right? Because your speed is dropped to near zero.
Yes.
You naturally compare your storm day to your tailwind day and think, I'm slacking, I'm not doing enough.
That's the trap. But here is the crucial distinction. True capability, the real measure of a highly successful person, isn't measured by how high they fly on perfect sunny days.
Because anyone can do that.
Exactly. Anyone can fly when the weather is perfect and the wind is at their back. True capability is measured entirely by whether you can maintain your direction on your absolute worst days.
Wow.
Success is simply the byproduct of refusing to stay still. It's about protecting your momentum at all costs, even if your actual speed drops to a crawl.
Think about the physics of it. It takes so much more energy to start a massive, heavy engine from a dead stop.
It does to just keep it idling.
Yes. Which brings us perfectly to the biggest trap that catches so many of us. If you're listening to this, I guarantee you've fallen into this trap.
Oh, we all have.
I know, I fall into it constantly. It's called the all or nothing fallacy.
The worst one.
It's this toxic idea that if you can't do a task perfectly or with maximum speed and efficiency, you just shouldn't do it at all. Let's connect this to a real-world scenario.
Go for it.
If I can't do my full 90-minute hyper-optimized gym routine, I guess I have no choice but to sit on the couch and eat a sleeve of Oreos. It's just science, right?
It's a hilarious defense mechanism, but that set to zero mentality is exactly what destroys long-term progress.
Yeah.
When you say, I can't do my full hour at the gym, so I'll just stay home, you're manually setting your daily progress to zero.
You're choosing zero.
You are. And the terrifying part of the analysis is this. In a world that is constantly moving forward, standing still actually means you're moving backward.
Because there is no true neutral state.
None at all. The market advances, inflation grows, your competitors keep working. If the world is advancing and you are at zero, you are actively losing ground.
It was like the finance example they used.
Oh, that's a great one.
How many times do people put off starting an investment account or a savings plan because they feel like they don't have a massive lump sum to start with?
All the time.
They wait for the perfect moment to fly financially. And while they wait, compound interest is just passing them by.
Exactly.
They let the ego of wanting to look like a high roller prevent them from doing the dirty, unglamorous work of crawling by saving $20 a week.
It's entirely driven by ego. We crave the glamorous speed of the big leap. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, letting your progress drop to zero because you can't achieve maximum speed is a fundamental failure of resource management.
How so?
Well, on that day you skipped the gym, you still had some resources left, maybe you had enough energy to do a 15-minute walk.
Or at least stretch on your living room floor.
Right. You had the resources to crawl, but you chose to deploy absolutely none of them.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The breakdown actually translates MLK's quote into a strict mathematical mental model.
Yes, the magnitude and direction concept.
Exactly. It decodes the whole philosophy into two distinct parts. Magnitude and direction. Let's look at magnitude first.
Okay.
Magnitude is the scale or the size of your action. This is the flying, the running, the walking, or the crawling. The absolute golden rule here is that your magnitude must remain variable.
Right. It has to flexibly adjust based on the actual resources you have available on any given day.
Because you can't force a flight magnitude when you only have crawling resources.
Exactly. If you only slept 4 hours and you're fighting off a cold, expecting a high magnitude output is just delusion.
Total delusion.
And then you have the second part of the mental model, direction. While magnitude is variable, direction is a strict, unyielding constant.
It never changes.
Never. The direction must always be forward. In mathematical terms, your direction must always be a positive integer, a +1. It must never change, and it must never, ever be zero.
So, looking at the math of success here, the logic is brilliantly simple. As long as your direction is positive, the cumulative result of your life will always increase.
Because a positive added to a positive always grows.
Right. It literally doesn't matter if your daily multiplier, your magnitude, is a 0.1 or a 100.
Nope.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Let's be real.
Okay, hit me.
If my ultimate goal is to launch a massive, industry-disrupting startup, and my magnitude today is just writing one single sentence in a notebook.
Isn't that just a psychological trick?
Yeah. Am I actually making real progress, or am I just doing the bare minimum to make myself feel better about being lazy?
That is the most common pushback to this idea, but it fundamentally misunderstands how human behavior scales. This leads directly into what the analysis calls the non-zero day philosophy. It's not just a cute motivational trick. There is deep biological and neuroscientific weight behind it.
So it's not just self-help fluff.
Not at all. When you take action, no matter how microscopic, you are firing a specific set of neurons. If you set your day to zero, those neural pathways go dormant.
So we're talking about actual neuroplasticity here.
Exactly. When you repeat a habit, your brain builds myelin sheaths around those neural pathways, insulating them and making the signals travel faster.
Wow.
If you crawl just 1 centimeter, if you write that one single sentence for your startup, you force those neural pathways to fire.
You're keeping the circuit alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're maintaining the physical circuitry in your brain. You are quite literally training your brain to remember a specific identity. You are forcing it to recognize we are someone who never stops.
So by doing that tiny microscopic action, you're preserving the identity of a winner in your own biology.
Precise.
Even if the output of that one sentence is practically useless for the business today, the act of writing it keeps the circuit alive.
That's the secret.
If you hit zero, the circuit breaks and starts to cool down. If you crawl, the power stays on.
You're maintaining the electrical current of your ambition. The friction required to start a cold habit is massive.
Oh, it's the hardest part.
Right. But if the circuit is already warm because you crawled yesterday, shifting into a run tomorrow is exponentially easier. That's why the magnitude doesn't matter nearly as much as the simple fact that the circuit successfully fired.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? How do you actually take this mathematical, neuroscientific mental model and apply it to a chaotic, stressful life?
That's the practical part.
Right, because the Wisdom Architect provides a highly practical, 3-step action framework to ensure you maintain this momentum.
Step 1 is the resource audit.
Yes. Every single morning, you must assess your physical, mental, and financial state. You have to look at your hand of cards and ask yourself, honestly, am I in a flying, running, walking, or crawling mode today?
And we need to emphasize a crucial insight here regarding this audit. You must never judge a sick day by the standards of a flying day.
That is so important.
It really is. And a sick day doesn't just mean you have the flu. It could mean you're stressed about your mortgage, you had a fight with your partner, or your cognitive load is just entirely depleted.
You're just tapped out.
Right. If you wake up and realize you honestly only have the resources to crawl, you have to accept that without guilt.
The guilt is the killer.
It really is. Guilt comes from expecting a flight magnitude on a crawl resource day. It's an irrational expectation.
Yeah.
The morning audit is about establishing objective reality, not wishful thinking.
That's so freeing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Gives you explicit permission to adjust your expectations based on your actual capacity. Once you've done that honest resource audit and dropped the guilt, you move to step 2, which is define the minimum move. There's a fantastic, highly specific scenario for this.
Oh, the consulting business one?
Yes. Imagine you have a goal to build an independent consulting business. But today, you are completely burned out from your demanding corporate day job. You've been in meetings for 9 hours.
Brutal.
You absolutely cannot fly today. Instead of giving in to the all or nothing fallacy and hitting 0, you step down the magnitude.
You scale the action to match the resource.
Exactly. Maybe you step down to walking, which could mean just reading one single industry news article.
Or, if you're truly depleted, you step all the way down to crawling.
Which would look like what?
Crawling might mean opening a Google Doc and literally just writing down one single bullet point for a future marketing idea.
Just one bullet point.
And that one bullet point, that one article, fulfills the mathematical requirement of the entire mental model.
It's a +1.
It is not 0. Your neurons fired. Which brings us to step 3. Protect the streak. The text emphasizes the absolute urgency of doing that minimum move immediately. Don't wait for the perfect moment after dinner when you think you might have more energy. Do it right then and there to keep the momentum alive.
To the outside world, someone watching you write down one bullet point might think it looks completely pathetic.
They probably would.
They'd wonder why you even bothered opening the laptop.
Ah.
But the beauty of this strategy is that you aren't doing it to finish the business plan that day. You are doing it to water the habit.
Yes.
You're watering the habit of a winner so the roots don't wither away in the drought.
What's fascinating here is how this strategy dramatically diverges from normal behavior over a long timeline.
Right.
If you rigorously follow this 3-step framework, if you are at your resources, define your minimum move, and protect your streak by refusing to hit 0, you trigger the most powerful force in wealth and skill acquisition.
The compound effect.
The ultimate advantage. To illustrate this, the analysis compares 2 very different archetypes of people.
Okay. Here.
On one side, you have the consistent walkers and crawlers. These are the people who constantly adjust their magnitude based on their daily audit, but they never ever change their forward direction.
Always forward.
Exactly. On the other side, you have the fast but erratic flyers. These are the people who move with incredible breathtaking speed when the weather is perfect. But the moment a storm hits, the moment they feel friction, they completely stop.
They default to 0.
And it seems incredibly counterintuitive at first glance, but over a multi-year timeline, the consistent crawler will always outpace the erratic flyer.
How can the person moving slower win?
It all comes back to the avoidance of 0 and the friction of starting over.
Right. Because think about what happens when the metaphorical storm finally passes. The erratic flyer, who stopped entirely and let their neural pathways cool down, has to generate all that initial thrust and psychological energy just to get off the ground again.
It's exhausting.
They have to overcome the massive friction of a cold start. But the consistent crawler, when the storm passes and those tailwinds return, they can effortlessly switch their magnitude back to fly.
Yes.
And here's the kicker. They aren't starting from 0. They are taking off from the exact spot they managed to crawl to during the storm.
Your banking distance. Every inch you crawl during your absolute worst, lowest energy days is an inch you don't have to cover when your strength finally returns.
That makes so much sense.
You've secured that territory. And because you maintained those neural pathways, because you kept the winner identity electrically alive in your brain, shifting from a crawl back to a full sprint is seamless.
Because the engine never turned off.
Exactly. You never actually lost the rhythm, you only turned down the volume.
This entire deep dive has completely reshaped how I'm going to view my own productivity, especially on those days where I feel like I'm failing. Let's do a quick summary of our mission today.
Good idea.
We took Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous quote, "If you can't fly, run, walk, crawl," and decoded it using this phenomenal wisdom architect analysis.
We discovered it isn't just a gentle concession for when you're exhausted.
No, it is a highly calculated resilience-building strategy built on the undeniable physics that momentum is far more important than speed.
It's about recognizing and destroying the all-or-nothing fallacy.
It's about auditing your resources daily without guilt, adjusting your magnitude, but keeping your direction strictly forward. By refusing to let any day hit zero, you ensure your neural pathways constantly recognize you as a winner who simply never stops.
Which brings up an important question for you listening to this right now. What does your own resource audit look like today?
Yeah, take a look at it.
I genuinely encourage you to take a moment after this and honestly assess your physical, mental, and financial state. Are you looking at a tailwind day where you have the capacity to fly? Or are you facing a storm where you need to give yourself explicit permission to just crawl?
Either one is okay.
Exactly. Whatever mode you're in, define your minimum move for today, execute it immediately, and protect that streak.
I absolutely love that. And I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
Let's hear it.
We talked deeply about the non-zero day and how the science shows that a single 1 centimeter crawl is biologically enough to keep your brain wired as a winner.
Right.
If that is scientifically true, then does the traditional concept of failure even exist anymore?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If you physically cannot fail, as long as you make a 0.1% move forward, how much bolder would your goals be tomorrow if you remove the fear of a zero entirely?
That changes everything.
If the absolute worst case scenario on your worst day is simply a 1 centimeter crawl, what's stopping you from aiming for the highest peak imaginable?
A fascinating concept to explore on your own.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you take these tools, audit your resources, drop the guilt, and keep moving forward, no matter the magnitude. Until next time, take care and keep that momentum alive.
Keep moving forward.